Good morning and happy Monday. It's time for another Mindful Play Monday Live, and we are back live this week after a couple of weeks of some pre-recorded content. We are back together and we are celebrating the World Cup today. If you have been following the news and the sports, you know that the World Cup is going on right now in Canada, Mexico, and the United States, and it has been all the talk of the town. So we are going to do a World Cup soccer or football, if you like, themed activity today to help us tune in with our breathing, connect to our breath, and have a little fun with a football soccer twist. So the only things that you need for today's activity are some Pom Poms or some cotton balls. We're going to turn these into little soccer balls. A Sharpie or a black marker to make your soccer balls. And then we also used just an old box. So there's a couple ways you could do this. We used like a little tee box and we turned it into our soccer goal. So just cut a hole out. Of course, the adults are going to do this ahead of time, and decorated it to look like a soccer goal. Now, if you don't have a little box you could use, you could also build one out of Legos. You could build one out of magnetic tiles. You could just put a few different boxes together if you don't want to set up a whole little net there. So a couple different ways you can do that. We just used like an old tee box. You could use any small box that you have to make your football net or your soccer net. And then the other thing you're going to need is a straw. So we're just using, of course, if you have multiple children, or if you're doing this like in a summer camp activity, you could even do this at like a soccer or football themed birthday party would be really fun to do. Each child is going to need their own straw. So you can color code those straws based on your needs, or put like a little mark or a little initial on there so you know whose straw belongs to whom. So what we're going to work on today is we're going to be scoring goals with our breath. So if you have a little soccer fan or a football fan at home and you've been watching the games, one of the things that we've been pointing out as the players are getting ready to go on the field, you can see a lot of them are actually taking a mindful moment or a break to kind of center themselves, get themselves in the right mindset to get ready for those big games, because of course we know that is a big deal, and those are some of the best sports players in the world out representing their countries, and even they need time to center themselves, take a few deep breaths, get in the right mindset in order to go out on the field and play their best. So that's the first thing we're going to do, is we're going to talk about what does that mindset look like? How do we tune into our best selves, slowing down, getting ourselves ready to go play that big game? And you can have that discussion even with your youngest toddlers at home. And you can say, look at those football players on the TV. Look at how they're acting. Look at how they're showing their emotions. What do you think they're feeling inside as they get ready to take the field? And kind of have that discussion opening up about our feelings and emotions and all the excitement and maybe even a little anxiety they might be feeling as they go out and take the field. And then the second piece is going to be working on our breathing patterns. So of course, when they're running super fast across the field, they're going to be breathing very quickly and usually short, fast breaths. And so we're going to show how we can visualize that with our own little football game at home. So the setup that we have for today, you can use any tray. I've just got like a green tray to help us model the football pitch, but you can also use just a regular cookie sheet, any plain tray that you have at home with a little bit of a raised edge to keep your soccer balls in play. You're going to set your field or your net at one end of the field. And then, as I mentioned, we're just using like little cotton balls or little Pom Poms. And then we took a Sharpie and drew the black spots on them so they look like an official soccer ball or an official football ball. And then you're going to work on your breathing patterns with that straw. So I'm going to turn it around this way so you can kind of see the back of the net there, and you can see the hole. And you're going to work on your breath. So you're going to line up your football at one end of the field, and you're going to talk about those different breathing patterns. So what happens when they're running super fast? Those short, fast breaths. And you can see how the ball is moving across the field. Now, practice those long, deep breaths. Take a big breath in through your nose and then out through your mouth in the straw. And try to guide and direct the football down the field. So of course the aim of the game is to try to get all of your footballs or your soccer balls into the net, which you can kind of see there. You can make this pitch or this field as long as you like. If you don't want to use just like a regular tray, you could set it up lengthwise across the table, and then put Legos along the side or your magnetic tiles along the side to keep your ball in play, to kind of build up the edges there so that your ball's not rolling off the table. And what this is going to do is help us tune in and visualize our breathing, as well as help us focus on the present moment. So I'm going to scoot you back just a little bit there. See if I can get everything into the camera view, if I angle it just so. And of course, it's also going to help us tune into our present moment and recognize how when we change the direction and the strength of our breathing patterns, that changes the direction of the football. So you can see it's a little bit harder, depending on the size of the net that you make, to actually get the ball into the goal. And there we go. And of course you can get all excited and yell goal when they get the football into the net like so. But it's going to help us recognize as we change the pace and the direction of our breathing through the straw, and even get a little bit of the physics and the science in there too, how we can angle the straw different ways across the football field to get that ball into our goal. So a quick and simple, fun little World Cup themed activity for today. This would be a fun one to even do at like a football or soccer themed birthday party, or if you're hosting a watch party for the World Cup with all the teams playing, you could do different colored soccer balls with different colored pom poms and just have a really fun time with it. And also encourage your children, like I mentioned, as you are watching the game, to look at those players as they are preparing to enter the field, and even throughout the game. I feel like a lot of the football or soccer players that we've seen recently on TV with the different matches are really good at not hiding their emotions. You can tell what they're thinking and feeling, especially with no penalties or red cards or yellow cards. You can really see how they're feeling and expressing their emotions. And you can talk about that with your little ones and say, okay, well, how do you think he's feeling right now? Do you think he's upset? Do you think he's excited? And celebrate with them as well. Thanks for joining us. We just shared a fun little activity celebrating the World Cup, working on our breathing patterns. We set up a little activity with some soccer or some footballs and a straw, and focused on how changing our breathing patterns and recognizing our emotions, just like our football stars in the World Cup, can help us tune into the present moment. So give it a try. I will have this recording up for us shortly here on YouTube, and I also will go back and put our pre-recorded content up there as well from the last couple of weeks. Thanks for joining us. Good luck to all of our football and soccer players out there. Have fun watching the games. Give this activity a try and let us know what you think. Have a great rest of your week ahead. We'll see you next time for another Mindful Play Monday Live.